Do you know what? This little bubble really annoys me here. And do you know what that is? Where a grinding spark flew straight from the grinder, straight into my lens over at Diamond City Cycles. Back in another Ducati Monster video. I'm calling it the Ghost. I don't know if I've mentioned that before at all, but that is my kind of nickname for it. So where we last left that off was doing the front fairing, or the half fairing I should really call it. So that goes at the front. What it does need then, just to complete it, is obviously the headlight fairing. I want it to be a bit different, and I've got my inspiration. These used to be in the wall, but they've just fallen off. Lights and things that I kind of like and want to take inspiration from. So that is today's job. What I am going to do is mock it up out of foam and then out of clay. I'll do both those in this episode. And by the end of this episode, we will be pretty decisive on what shape we're going to do for the front headlight fairing. That's pretty much enough from me. Here it is. So obviously looking at the front today, you can see that the tank's here. Tank doesn't want to sit where it wants to sit at the moment. Tank and the seat, I have been fiddling around with it a little bit more. I did mention there was an imperfection there. I've actually sanded quite a bit down on that side just to get it a bit straighter actually. And the back I've actually bought out another 5mm. I realised that that wasn't parallel to that as such. But anyway, the front, this is the main bit, and we've got a whole spaghetti full of wires here. What we need to do is fit that foam on the front, just a big square block, push it in, and then start sculpting around that. Probably a good idea, although I do like it naked. I've taken the fairing off for now, but when the fairing's back on it, I think it needs something at the front. Just slap this on at the moment. I do need to start cutting it down. What I'm going by is this sketch here, which probably doesn't make much sense. I've got two headlights there, offset to the right, a crease down the middle, then the corners wrap around, pretty much like that does, and then an overlap that goes over the headlights. I think the headlights might be more to the left, and then the overlap actually goes over the headlight itself. Oh god, I've got hiccups. So at the moment I'm just cutting it down. Now it's not going to look like a helmet from Tron, but I'm just seeing what angle and what depth and everything it needs to go to. I quite like showing a bit of the forks. Cut it just so it wraps around a little bit more. I regret cutting that out so soon because I'm kind of thinking that I might need to fill that back up. And whilst I've got these lights at the moment, I did have that sketch. It was originally that side, but then I kind of figured, well, if I rotate it, it starts looking a bit better. And a friend of mine sent me this just to make things even more difficult for me. A few ideas for some headlights, which I think are pretty awesome. How awesome would that look on the front? Just a little breather now. I have got this little piece, which is going to sit on there. I cut a little bit too much off, which is usually the case with these things. And it is going to be standing a lot more upright than that, so it's going to be less slanted at the back. Is it? Then again, you know what? That angle does go well with that angle there. That is exactly the same angle. Oh, why does everything have to be a problem? Do you know, I'd set my mind up on having that a little bit straighter. Now looking at it now, that angle carries on with that angle there for the bend. And the same as that slice up there, and that's going to be mimicking the slice down there on the fairing once I put the fairing back on. Oh, I'm going to have to stick it at that angle. But anyway, ignoring me, I've stuck that on there because it needs to start tapering back a little bit more. Whether it's going to be here or it's going to be a little bit earlier on, I don't know. It's not obviously going to be that big. It's going to have a windscreen. And we do like to mess around with foam. Right, bit of a better shape, but I'm still not 100% happy with it. What am I not happy with? Put some lines there. I'm debating whether I cut. Yes, I do cut. I'm just gonna cut. Put some lines on there. I think it needs to be a bit more angular. I've got it down to the point, same height as this there. I am looking at it from the side as well and kind of going up. And yes, that is leading up to there. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. This little bit snapped off and I'm not really that worried about it because I'm just going to build it up with clay now. This here is not going to be staying. All I'm trying to do is just get a shape, but that is essentially going to be plexiglass there. Right, let's worry about that later on. Let's just cut it. It's late at night and I've kind of come up with a shape that I think I'm alright with. You can't really see it very well because, oh, bang my head, why did I put those up there? At this time of night, I can't be bothered to set up a lamp because I think it's about 11 o'clock at night. So all I want to do is see how mean it looks with the lights coming through. And I'll show you more tomorrow. Whoa, that is bright. That is bright as anything. So I was doodling last night. I think it kind of needs to be more angled. It needs to be straighter. So let's do that. And here in my hand, I shouldn't really manhandle it because it's pretty fragile. Here in my hand is the new fairing. In fact, let me put the camera here. And you can see my face when I'm doing this now. Oh, doesn't quite fit. Where's my knife? Hello? Oh, there it is. Right, both that and that needs to go back a bit further. Yes! And here it is. Sits very neatly. It runs parallel with that bottom line up to there. Have I taken a bit too much of a step from there? I have, haven't I? Have I? I don't know. No, I think it's fine actually. So it runs all the way from this line. Ignore that gap there because, as you may have noticed in the last video, I explained that gap needs tightening up. So it runs from that line up there and then it pokes up. So that line goes straight. In fact, I've got a wire here or a piece of thread, cotton thread, rope, whatever it is, some kind of material. That is your line. And that is the bottom of that. And for the top as well, I wanted it to come over here and then down again. Hooks just over the top of these forks here. Enough room in there for a clock or a dial. We come to the front. That needs to be a little bit straighter. I'm not going to worry too much about that. And there will also be a recess in there. Oh, actually that needs to go a bit higher up there. I'm just noticing all these little bits now. That needs to go up a little bit there. There's going to be a little shield in here, a little windshield, a tiny one. And then back down at the front here, it is pretty much a square front. The area where the light's going to come through is just there, just this tiny little sliver. That isn't as straight as I'd like it to be. I do need to chop that back ever so slightly. And then I've got this little flap that you can see going over there. So it does come out. That needs to be a lot smoother, but I mean, that's all going to be done at the actual fiberglass stage. It sticks over, and you can see how it's going to be an opening there. And the light's just going to shine through. And what I'm going to do in there is 3D print a light housing, so it holds it all and then it kind of molds back onto that. Possibly CNC that out of aluminium. I'll see how the 3D print goes. If I'm happy enough with that, it can remain as a 3D print because essentially if it's going to be black inside, it's not going to draw too much attention. I like that. Yes, I'm happy. Happy. I've been battling with this for ages. It's gone through all sorts of shapes and everything, but I'm happy with it. I guess the next step for me, the next video on the Ducati, will be me actually creating a split mold, a 3-piece split mold for that bottom fairing, and then creating a prototype. I might combine both those into one video. I'll see how quickly I get it done. And then this, I'm guessing, will be a single mold. And then after that, I can actually start disassembling the bike, get the frame fabricated, finished actually, because there's a few little modifications I want to do. These cam belt covers are going to be CNC'd out of aluminium, so they're going to be really nice. All to come. So if you like what you see, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and also visit footballindustries.com if you want to buy any tees or merchandise or mugs or anything that feature my illustrations. So until next episode, stay safe everyone, see you then.